welcome to this explainer. If you look up at the night sky tonight, you're not just looking at stars anymore. You are literally looking at a massive, rapidly expanding grid of satellites that are listening, communicating, and watching everything below. Today we're going to unpack this colossal interconnected planetary machine the US is building in space and see how it's drastically reshaping international power dynamics right before our eyes.
So there's this really chilling ambition from the US intelligence community that sets the stage for everything. Historically, space surveillance was just about taking brief, super expensive snapshots of the Earth. But the Department of Defense has a totally new vision now. They literally want a constant stare. They want 24/7, all-weather coverage to watch targets without ever blinking. It's a massive shift from just taking pictures to essentially recording a continuous live video of the entire globe.
To make sense of this giant puzzle, we're going to break it down into 5 quick parts: the planetary machine, SpaceX and global dependency, the AI brain, the kill chain, and finally, the quest for sovereign security.
All right, Part 1, the planetary machine. Let's talk about the eyes of this operation.
When we talk about these eyes, we're primarily talking about the National Reconnaissance Office, or the NRO. If you haven't heard of them, just think of them as basically the CIA or the NSA, but specifically for space. They're the ones building this unblinking stare. Now, pre-2017, launching a satellite for them was this monumental, wildly expensive event. They were massive and launched one at a time. But after 2017, everything flipped. Why? Reusable rockets, specifically SpaceX's Falcon 9. Suddenly, getting things into low Earth orbit became incredibly cheap, allowing satellites to be mass-produced, shrinking in size, but absolutely exploding in number.
And that brings us to this staggering number, 200. That's how many spy satellites the US government put into orbit in just the last 2 years alone. And the NRO is planning to quadruple its fleet. But it's not just the government. They've got massive contracts with private companies, like Planet Labs, whose satellite constellations can literally image the Earth's entire land surface every single day at an incredible 3 meters per pixel. They're intercepting radio, radar, and GPS across the globe.
Which leads us to Part 2, SpaceX and global dependency. Because all those eyes need a way to transmit data.
So all those physical eyes in the sky are totally useless without the nerves to transmit that data back to Earth in real time. And this is where it gets kind of wild. We are looking at a startling geopolitical monopoly. If you want to get to space right now, you essentially have to go through Elon Musk. Over half of all active satellites in orbit belong to him. His Starlink satellites aren't just watching, they provide the internet, the connectivity. They're the absolutely vital nerves of this whole planetary machine. To see the direct, immediate impact this dependency has on warfare, we just have to look at Ukraine. Earlier in the conflict, when Starlink communications were restricted, reports showed that drone operations completely failed. The soldiers had the equipment, they knew their targets, but the connection was severed. A single private citizen's infrastructure altered the battlefield by basically pinching the system's nerves shut. It's a huge reality check.
Obviously, the US military is terrified of having its own nerves pinched like that. A superpower simply cannot rely entirely on a private civilian's whims during a crisis. So, they're building sovereign backup systems like Starshield. This is a special, dedicated line of military satellites built on SpaceX tech, working right alongside the military's own distributed space internet. But here's the catch. While the US has the capital to build these private backups, the rest of the world remains heavily dependent on Musk's singular power.
Okay, moving on to Part 3, the AI brain, processing the data. So you have thousands of eyes capturing data and nerves transmitting it down to Earth. But how do you process continuous planetary-scale information without just completely drowning in it? Enter the Maven Smart System. This is Palantir's artificial intelligence software, and it's being deployed across the US Defense Department right now. This is the brain of the machine. It takes satellite imagery, drone feeds, plane imagery, open source data, and mobile signals, and layers them all into a single actionable interface. It makes the world effectively transparent on a single screen.
And the US is already taking the next massive leap forward with this. They're taking that Palantir Maven system, which acts as the logical memory and reasoning center, and they're stacking generative AI like Claude or ChatGPT right on top of it. This adds advanced language processing and perception. You can essentially ask this AI brain complex operational questions in plain English, and it synthesizes all that planetary data to give you an answer. It's wild.
This brings us to Part 4, the kill chain. Because this isn't just about watching.
Right. The ultimate goal of this AI brain isn't passive observation. It's about accelerating military action through what's called the modern kill chain. This is the sequence from identifying a threat to neutralizing it, moving from the eyes to the brain to the nerve to the muscle. Step 1, a satellite spots a target. Step 2, the AI brain instantly overlays that with other sensor data. Step 3, the AI automatically recommends the best strike vehicle. And Step 4, the operator gets a one-click strike approval right there on the screen.
4 minutes and 23 seconds. In a recent Department of Defense demonstration, that was the exact time it took from identifying a target to engaging it. Think about that. A process that used to take human analysts and commanders hours, actually scratch that, sometimes days, to coordinate across different departments has been compressed down to mere minutes. That speed is entirely unprecedented.
And finally, Part 5, the quest for sovereign security. The scramble for independence.
With the U.S. pulling so far ahead in this technological arms race, allied nations are waking up to a really uncomfortable reality. The contrast is stark. You've got the U.S. mass-producing thousands of satellites, launching them almost weekly. Meanwhile, in the U.K., building satellites is still largely treated like a handcrafted, bespoke art. A British company might launch 79 satellites over 40 years. Plus, their attempts to build a domestic version of the AI brain, a digital kill web, have just been completely plagued by funding delays and bureaucracy.
Ultimately, nations like the UK are realizing they just can't afford to only be a customer to the American machine. Their goals are crystal clear: build national spacecraft, launch them on national rockets, and most importantly, prevent data access denial. They remember when the US briefly decided to withhold certain satellite imagery from Ukraine. If you don't own the infrastructure, you can be cut off at the exact moment of a crisis. So they're urgently trying to buy their own independence.
And there's a fascinating bit of irony in all of this. Back in 2002, after Elon Musk sold PayPal, he actually traveled over to the UK specifically to learn about the space industry. He bought a 10% share in a British satellite company and sat on their board. So the very UK aerospace industry that is currently struggling to build independence from Musk's monopoly today is the exact same industry that taught him how to do space over 20 years ago.
As this incredible planetary machine continues to grow, becoming faster, smarter, and way more pervasive, it leaves us with one critical question about the future of global dynamics. If a sovereign nation has to rely on a private tech millionaire or an allied superpower for its digital eyes and nerves during a crisis, can it truly call itself secure? It's a question every world leader is scrambling to answer right now. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I hope this helped map out the invisible architecture floating right above our heads. See you next time.